Hey, Ray, let's get this party started.
I think it's time. Yeah, it sure is nice to see so many people with us today. We appreciate that, and certainly are looking forward to an engaging and informative hour. So, thanks to the folks who have joined us today. Perfect day to have a webinar indoors with the rain moving through Houston and such as well. But we've also got folks around the country joining us too. So, thank you for being here. There's a chat box down at the bottom, and you can type in your questions. There's a Q&A function that you can use to uh, have questions for Ingrid as we go through this podcast. I should say webinar, not podcast, because podcast is on my mind. The Ad Speaks Houston podcast is an Addy award-winning podcast. And if you are not a subscriber to that, I want you to do so during this hour. Get ready. Ad Speaks Houston. It's on your favorite podcast platform. It takes you behind the scenes with the people and the programs that make American Advertising Federation Houston one of the top chapters in the American Advertising Federation in the country. Great conversations about Houston's advertising and communications communities, including the club's broad base of multicultural creatives and marketing professionals. It's on your favorite podcast platform. It's also on the radio on iHeartMedia, Sundays from 10 to 11 on KPRC 950 here in Houston. And as I said, you can grab that on the iHeart app if you go to KPRC 950 AM. There are so many different things that we can talk about today, but I think one of the most important things we need to do right now is introduce Kay Krennick, our chairman of the American Advertising Federation Houston. We have been busy over this past 12 months of quote unquote isolation. We've not let that stop us from moving ahead. So, Kay, good morning to you, and take it away.
Thank you, Ray. First of all, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone.
Oh, you're wearing green.
I'm wearing a little green, and hopefully everyone else is. Obviously, we'd rather be out drinking green beer at lunch, but so those days may be behind me. I don't know. I've done it. I'll say that. So first of all, I'd just like to thank all the entrants and the many, many volunteers that it took to pull off our first ever virtual Addies. Those of you that participated and of course on our email list know that the big Texas freeze didn't help us out, and we did get to have to postpone that 1 week for the Addies. But Ray, his team of people that produced it, and all the other volunteers really stepped up and got this thing done even after we lost power and all kinds of crazy stuff. There was some really good work that was acknowledged, and I just want to thank everybody and also wish everybody good luck, as that a lot of that work has moved on to the district level competition now, which is the next step towards winning a national Addie. Let's get some national Addies for Houston. We also, I just want to mention, there'll be an e-newsletter going out later today, but we have a national Mosaic winner from Houston. It's been announced that Alex and Kathy Lopez Negrete have won a Mosaic Champion Award from the National AAF office. There's just one of 9 in the nation, and so it's a really big deal for Houston. It's a really big deal for Alex and Kathy Lopez Negrete, and of course for AAF Houston. I'd also just like to say thank those of you who participated in our first ever peer-to-peer virtual networking opportunity. It was fun. It was a good group. We hope to build from there. This is a members only event. So if you're thinking about joining us, you might want to join before we have the next one. So it's a little bit like this, except more fun. And then lastly, just to mark your calendars, I think Valentina had a slide up there for our Wednesday webinar, which is April 21st, Wednesday, April 21st. And it is the art of rebranding. It's the topic, and a lot of fun details to come on that. And that's all the things I need to say.
Very cool. Thank you, Kay, very much. And thanks again for everybody being here. Who is the American Advertising Federation Houston? We are big thinkers, bold ideas, disruptive yet smart, relentless yet thoughtful. A whole bunch of nice folks all together here in Houston. This is the new advertising industry in Houston. American Advertising Federation Houston is home to the city's best marketers, creatives, communicators, and storytellers. And if you'd like to find out more, to go to aaf-houston.net. Become a member. You can do that at any time. If you're under 32 and a young professional, you can join Add to Houston, a very relevant and important part of the American Advertising Federation. And one more time, the podcast. If you haven't subscribed, please go do that. You'll hear a lot of great conversations. This weekend on the radio, we're actually featuring a conversation that we had with Jim McInvale, Mattress Mac, a very motivational thing that we're doing. And I think you'll get a kick out of that, especially if you listen to KPRC this coming weekend on Sunday from 10 to 11. Today's webinar is being made possible by Quantcast. And Ingrid Burton is a marketing veteran in the technology industry, is the Chief Marketing Officer at Quantcast, where it's focused on developing integrated marketing strategies to help the company position its portfolio of audience intelligence and consent management solutions. Now, prior to joining Quantcast, she served as the CMO at H2O.ai, an open source leader in AI and machine learning. She also helped lead the company through its growth stages. Burton also previously served as the Chief Marketing Officer of Hortonworks, Silver Spring Networks, Plantronics, and was a senior marketing executive at both SAP and Sun Microsystems. How do you find the time to do these things, Ingrid? She is also currently serving on the Extreme Networks board. And today we are demystifying AI for marketers. Who wants to be demystified right now? Me. All right. Let's move ahead and do this. Ingrid, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here, and I want to thank you all for having me. I think it's always great to, first of all, get the presentation to work. And let's do that. Of course, I'm having problems. Where is my slide view? Here we go. Play from the start. So I'm Ingrid Burton. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm the CMO at Quantcast, and I am going to hopefully help you demystify AI. It is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It almost feels like it's come full circle for me. And here at Quantcast, we actually have a fantastic AI and machine learning solution for advertising. So I really want to talk about that. But I talk about, this is more of an educational webinar for you to understand what the power is of AI and what it is and what it isn't and how it can help you. It can help you deliver, and I'll talk about this, patterns, preferences, and predictions so that you can know and grow your audiences better. But before I begin on the topic, I guess we already revealed that I have an extensive background in tech. But what a lot of people don't know about me is I have a degree in math, which is a very interesting background to have for a CMO, for a Chief Marketing Officer. And actually, not only do I have a degree in math, I was a developer, so one of those coder programmer people, and did that for quite a number of years before I moved into marketing. So my technology background helps me clarify technology to people like myself now, right? Because I'm talking to myself as a marketer, and how do I use technology to make me a better marketer? How do I use technology to make myself a better brand, advertiser, publisher, etc. So yes, I have an extensive background in many different technologies that include AI and machine learning, IoT, Internet of Things, big data, and all of that. One of the early proponents of open source and cloud computing before it became one of the biggest industries out there in tech, and really just had that broad, extensive background. So I've been around for a long time. But a lot of people ask me, how did you get into marketing? And I have posted blogs about this, but for all of you marketers out there, and I know there are a lot of you out there right now listening, think about some of the skills that you have. You have to be analytical. You have to have reasoning skills. You have to love numbers because we're all metrics based, right? We have to get results, and you've got to be creative. So what are marketing people? They're analytical, they love numbers, and they've got to be creative. What are mathematicians and engineers? They're analytical, they love numbers, and they're creatives, right? They create a lot of the technology that fuels the world today. So many similarities between math and marketing. And so what I'm going to do today is really help you break down almost mathematically what AI is and how it can help you. So I'm going to try and break it down into simple equations. So bear with me. If you didn't like math, you'll like it after this. So first of all, AI can appear to be very daunting, right? You hear the terms artificial intelligence, And my first myth that I want to debunk is artificial intelligence is anything but artificial. It is not artificial, right? It is augmenting your intelligence as a human being. But AI is a broad term that you can hear, you hear in the press, you read about it, you know, it can be evil. You know, I used to laugh when people come, oh, you're an AI? I'm like, yeah, and they're like, Terminator. Okay, we are so far from Terminator, it's not even funny, right? Because artificial intelligence, which was a term coined in the late 1950s, okay, it's been around for quite some time, is a vast category of things, right? Everything from self-driving cars, right? Autonomous vehicles, to image recognition software, right? When you walk in or, you know, you have facial recognition, there's issues with that right now in terms of bias and other things. And so there's just so many different areas. What I'm going to talk about today is machine learning. Machine learning is a category of artificial intelligence, of AI, that uses math with data to be able to give you results. So AI has a lot of categories. You'll hear a lot of things about AI, you know, even your Alexa, and I hope she doesn't start talking to me, or your Google Home, those are AIs as well. So AI is a broad category. Don't think too hard about it, because there's different segments within the broader category. So today, machine learning is going to be the topic. And so to break it down, it all starts with data. Okay, you cannot get any results without having good data to start with, right? AI and machine learning can do nothing for you without data at its core, right? So the data has to be there in order for the machine learning, which is simply math. It is really just equations on steroids. Has to be able to equate on that data. So think about it as this is all mathematical. Machine learning is about training a machine to really look at the data, past historical data, to help understand what might happen today, right now, in the future, what has happened, to explain what's really going on, right? So it starts with data. And where is data? Data is everywhere, right? We see streams of data from everything, from every device. I'm sure a lot of you have one of these. You know, you have your computer. We couldn't have gotten through this pandemic without all of the devices that we have. Everything is generating data as well, right? So every click, every stream, every interaction that we as consumers, we're all consumers as well, is out there as data, right? Every time you walk around with your devices, somehow magically people know where your mobility is, right? Where are you? We're in your car. Your car's emitting data. There's at least a minimum of 200 sensors on every car emitting data at all times. If you have a modern car, you know this, right? Even older cars have data emitting from them. So data is everywhere. And how do you tap into that data? How do you make sense of that data? You as a human would have a very difficult time looking at all those streams of data to be able to make sense of that data. And that's where machine learning comes in. That's where AI and machine learning come in to help you make sense of that data and give you something that gives you sense. So machine learning is simply math, okay? So if you've ever taken an advanced math class, and I know a lot of people don't like math, I'll tell you, if you like puzzles, you like playing games, math is a game. It's simply solving a puzzle and being very analytical, right? So if you ever took, you know, algebra, this is equations on steroids. So think about, you've got, you know, we just talked about the weather. You've got weather data, you have location data. Some of you are in Houston, some of you are in Dallas, some of you, I saw somebody from St. Louis, right? You have demographic information. This turns into a, you know, variable formula, x plus y plus z equals what, right? All those variables get put into many matrices and they get multiplied, and all those variables come together to give you an answer. And that's what machine learning is doing simplistically. It is taking multivariable equations, matrices, and doing a lot of analytics on it in real time, very quickly, on all that data to make sense of that data. and to say, who's going to show up to this webinar? Didn't know somebody from St. Louis would be here, but maybe we could have predicted that because we might have seen a pattern from past webinars that same person showed up, or there's a segment of people in the AAF Houston that come from various parts of the country. So machine learning can help you make semblance of the data that's in front of you because it's mathematical. But really what it can do is the power of AI and machine learning plus data. So again, you have to have data. If you don't have data and if you don't have a lot of data, you're not going to get a really good pattern, right? So you need a lot of data to show you patterns. You can also, look at the preferences of consumers of what they're doing. And then I think more importantly, the most important thing is make a prediction of what's going to happen next. Who wouldn't want to know what's going to happen next in their retail outlet, in their business, based on historical data, current data, other people's data? And, you can buy other people's data or get open source packets or data. And you need to be able to look at what's going to happen in the future, the immediate future, or next week, or next month, or next year. There are ways to do it with AI and machine learning. So how does that help you in advertising? It's going to really give you that full view of knowing your customer, really getting to know your customer, right? So all major corporations out there right now are using AI and machine learning. Almost all of them are using it to really get to know you. You are a customer of somebody for something, right? Whatever your preferences are, and you're showing a pattern, and that's how we're able to reach you, right? But we're getting to know you as well. So there's all of that, that's part of this. So examples of how AI is being used in marketing and advertising today, it's everywhere. So these are just some of the use cases. There's hundreds of them. You can increase your sales by saying, well, customer, and you'll see this on Amazon. They were one of the early companies that did this. You bought this book, other customers like you, again, think about those patterns, also bought this book, right? Recommendation engines. And it helped you understand that, oh, I can, get a next best offer. I can get a next, I can cross-sell, upsell you. I can understand now who my next best customer might be, right? Because they're basically in a pattern. If these kinds of people are doing this and this other person joins, they might likely do the same thing. Who's my next best customer? How do I reach them? What should they be doing next? And then precision on your ad placements, on your campaigns, knowing, don't do this, the old way of, spray and pray, precisely reach the customer you need to reach at the right moment, because you're doing intelligent advertising, intelligent audience reach. And then, the other thing that I really love to see here, and I know loyalty companies are doing this, they're building loyalty amongst all of us with personalization engines and recommendations, really speaking to me about what I want to do. So those are successful uses of AI, right? In machine learning. There's also unsuccessful uses, and I'll go through like why is that so? But these are just some of the examples that many marketing and advertising professionals, whether they know it or not, they're using software, they're using platforms to be able to do this. So let's talk about the first one, the first P of the 3 Ps. So if data plus AI and machine learning equals a pattern, let's talk about what that pattern looks like. It's about that segmentation, right? So number of people, female demographic over a certain age, living in a certain state, and actually in a certain, zip code, who has a profession, education, all of that. I'm a certain person, maybe I have a pattern. There's a number of people like me. You all are in a pattern, right? So figure out the similar groupings, and that becomes part of the variable equation, right? So understanding that pattern and creating an audience segment out of that, or an audience signal. Think about that. So understanding that pattern is really important, and machine learning can do that because there's millions of us, not just 10 of us, there's millions of us. And so it's not as easy as saying, oh, I understand my audience, I understand my customers. if you put it together into patterns, you can really understand. Preferences is the second part of the 3 Ps. And I think this one, oh, they're all exciting, but preferences are super exciting because this is how we're really going to get to know our customers. And this is all about getting consent from our customers and so forth. So we are consumers. You're a consumer, I'm a consumer. Yes, I'm a marketer. Yes, I'm in advertising, but I'm a consumer. So I know what I want, right? I know what I would prefer to see. I would like to get special offers served up to me because I would act on them. And I do when they find me at the right place and at the right moment. So I would like to have great offers served up to me because look at me. You probably don't know me very well. You just saw me for the first time, but this is what my real passion is, going in the outdoors, going backpacking. This is in the Sierra Nevadas. Yes, I'll carry a 35-pound pack and trudge out in the wilderness for 7 or 8 miles, camp on a location on a lake, and do it again day after day. I love it, right? That's what keeps me going. I love my job, but I also love the outdoors. So I'm an outdoorsy person. I love athletics. I'm a runner. I do like to travel when we can travel. You know, maybe next time this would be in person, hopefully. Got to get your COVID shot. But you know, I like to travel. I love my family. I'm a mom, got actually 4 kids, and I like going on adventures. So that's me, and I'm happily married. Okay, so great picture of me. Boy, do I wish advertisers knew who I was, right? Because I actually get a lot of these kind of ads. You all get these kind of ads? Definitely the one on the left. I get the matchmaker ads all the time, right? And I'm like, I'm happily married. I'm, you know, why do you not know this about me? Why am I getting like meet these kind of people? And actually, I don't even want to say some of the ads that I get, but it's like such a waste of money for an advertising agent, for a company to be putting effort into this kind of advertising that isn't really reaching me. They just saw that I'm an outdoor person. What I really want, and I'm still waiting for Patagonia to call me, give me an offer. I will buy your next Patagonia vest. I have like 10 of them, but I like them in every color. I need new shoes. I'm a runner. My shoes wear out after a couple of months. I need a couple of new running pairs of shoes. I don't get these offers. I still find it astounding. I'm in the space and they still don't know who I am. So we need to change that. So we as an industry, so this is actually more of a, when we have customer consent, consumer consent, this is part of really what we need to be able to do as well. We will be able to get people's preferences. And when we get their preferences, it goes into the math equation, right? It goes into the math equation and it becomes something that we can understand then that we should be able to reach those people with the right offer at the right moment. Ingrid's thinking about traveling. Why? Because COVID looks like it's maybe going away. I saw that Texas was starting to open up to more people to get COVID vaccinations. We're going to start traveling. We all want offers on travel right now, right? Give me an offer. I will probably book a trip. Just FYI. So then the really exciting part of AI and machine learning with data for all of us as marketers is understanding that it can find a prediction in all of this massive data. And that is really what excites me about AI and machine learning, is really seeing that future. And I've seen it having been in the AI space for, about 3 or 4 years now. We can make predictions. We can make predictions about what's going to happen next, not just with the weather. We can make predictions about where people are going to shop, where they're going to go, because all that data is sitting there. Historical data is there and it's ready to go, right? So if you have the right software, right, you need the software, or you need a data science team, or you need to tap into somebody with data science, they can help you see what's ahead. Let me give you an example. So here at Quantcast, last year, it was like a year ago, we saw a decline in interest in our data set. We have a live real-time data set. It's live right now, all the time, new signals coming in. This live real-time data set showed us a significant drop in interest in automotive, right? So used cars, new cars, dealerships, etc. Huge drop off. I think we were all in shock. We didn't know what was happening. 369 days working from home for that one person. I'm with you. So huge drop in car sales. But then we saw it going up over a course of a couple of weeks. We saw this in our data set. What does that mean? Over a period of time, a few weeks after that, an increase in car comparison shopping, dealer web pages. What was happening, right? So drop, increase. Now, this was after 8 weeks of the pandemic. What happened was people in May, the car companies in May said our car sales are up. And we started to probe on this, and it turns out mass transportation, you couldn't get it, right? More people needed to have cars. More people were looking at used cars. Why were they looking at used cars? Because they couldn't afford new cars. And they had to wear masks on public transportation. I don't know about you, but I was in San Francisco in April of last year. There was nothing. The streets were empty. You could walk on the busiest streets that you would have gotten run over, in February of 2020. You can walk right through the middle of a street. There was nothing on the streets. So people needed to be able to get around. People needed to get on with their normal lives, and car sales went up. This was a prediction we could see and a pattern we were seeing in the data. So this is how significant AI machine learning. We have a machine learning engine that runs on top of a real live data set that's giving us these signals. And people that we work with are the beneficiaries of that real-time signal in that data set. So again, AI plus machine learning. So a little bit about us. We just announced a brand new platform called the Quantcast platform that is built on privacy and consent in terms of getting consumer consent into our live real-time data with AI and machine learning on top, an engine on top called Aura. Got to name everything. So AI machine learning. And you as a marketer or in advertising, I'll tell you, it is the most exciting thing I've seen as a marketer. It gives you your audiences. It gives you like, I need to reach these people. It also tells you who else you should be reaching and where you should be reaching them. So this platform is self-service, and it's a unified platform that helps you plan, activate, and measure your audiences. So your campaigns, so you can plan your campaigns, activate your campaigns, and measure them and get the results in a single software platform. Now, we can help you do it. We help people all the time with their advertising. You can do it yourself. As I like to say, we can teach you how to fish. You can fish yourself, but at the end of the day, you're going to eat fish. Okay. So the Quantcast platform is really there to help you know and grow your audiences. And we have a robust AI machine learning engine that gives us that signal that tells us, reach the people in the green there, but don't, this other guy, maybe not so much. Maybe that's not where, he's not looking for, that car, or he's not looking for that clothing item right now. And this consumer on the very right, don't even bother reaching her. She's not even interested in you. She's the wrong demographic. So we are doing this operating on thousands of variables at all times. We're operating on doing the math every second of every day, every second. Trillions of operations are happening on this live real-time data set. Again, no human could do this. No human can do this. You need to augment your intelligence, not artificial intelligence, but augment your intelligence so that you can innovate and do more creative campaigns. Think about your marketing strategies. Let the machines do the heavy lifting on what needs to happen next, of who you're going to try and reach. My next slide. So, basically in summary, AI is going to make us all better marketers. It's going to make us better advertisers. It's going to save us time, and it's going to save us money, which at the end of the day goes to the bottom line, right? So we're really encouraging people to think about AI machine learning for the benefit of being a better marketer, but also do the marketing. Don't worry about the MarTech, right? The MarTech is like, ugh. I don't even want to worry about MarTech. I want to do the creative. So there's magic in all of this math to really help you know and reach your customers and really just get to know what you're trying to do. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do I get started? Okay. You don't just have to come to Quantcast. If you want to learn more about AI and machine learning, I highly recommend for every business person I ever meet, every student that I interact with in the university, go take this course called AI for Everyone at Coursera. I think it's a nominal fee, and just at least take the first 2 hours. Andrew Ng is a world expert in AI and machine learning. And I would say if you want to be relevant, competitive in today's world, every business person I run into should take this course. I've taken this course. And I think it's really, really explains it in much more detail than I ever did at a high level. So for business people, for students, if you have students in your family, make them take this and put that on their LinkedIn and resume as well. I mean, it's just a fabulous course. And then of course you can come to quantcast.com to learn more about us, or you can contact your local team. They're on the phone here. Amanda, Brian, and Matt are here to help you. We're here to help you make sense of the world of messy data on the open internet and help you with AI and machine learning to, really reach your customers and know and grow your audiences. So with that, I thought I'll open it up for questions. Should I stop sharing?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So we have Amanda on and Brian as well. And I know there are some questions in the chat box. So feel free to keep sending those. So that way we can get to answer all of your questions. Ingrid, we have a few. So let's get started.
I see some of them. I'm looking.
We have Alvin here is asking, how accurate is AI and how can they better reach his needs, or are they just fishing for new undiscovered interests?
They're very accurate. And that's because it's based on data, right? So AIs can be very accurate. So think about machine learning can be very accurate, right? Because you're creating a model and training that model based on, you create a model, you train that model based on data that you have at hand. And you test that model, right? You test to make sure that the results that you thought you were going to get are the results that you should be getting. So what happens in the background, all this in the background, right? The tech people, the data scientists are constantly refining those algorithms, those models to make sure that they're completely accurate. Now, do we miss? We do miss. Why do we miss? Why does machine learning miss? When there's inaccuracies in the data, bias in the data, and not enough data, or that the algorithm or the model that the data scientist has trained has inaccuracies in it. So sure, there's always a human element. By the way, AI machine learning is humans in the loop all the time. So it isn't automatic. It isn't training itself. There's always, and I advocate for a human in the loop. Test the model, make sure it's giving you the right results. And you need to keep testing the model because over time data changes. So you need to keep retesting models. You can't just assume that, oh, one and done. No, you're never done. You're constantly retraining the model with new data because there's something called drift. The model can drift and then it's out of, it's not accurate anymore. So yes, it can go into inaccuracy, but you really need to understand that it's a constant iterative process.
Can I jump in on that one as well? Could I piggyback there?
Sure.
Yeah. So I think one of the main points when you're thinking about AI-driven marketing is exactly as Ingrid said. It's supplemental to the human intuition and creativity. What you're doing when you leverage AI in your marketing efforts is you're sort of allowing the machines to do what they do best while supporting that with human strategy. So you're removing that sort of retroactive biased human thinking. Humans, we get up from the desk, we sleep at night, machines don't. So it's just something to keep in mind. The machines are, when driven by, solid, fresh data and pointed towards the right outcome, they're going to outperform humans on the, little manual lever pulling 10 times out of 10.
Absolutely. It's
Awesome.
very efficient and reduces the time it takes to get things done. It can reduce time, like even in placing an ad and figuring out where to place it and how it's going to perform, can take hours out of that process, even days.
John has a question too. John, do you want to ask it live?
Sure, I sent you a couple of them. So the question I had was, and I know this because the AI and the data stuff fascinates me, and I love it. It's a lot of what I've done, but I know there's a lot of creative people on the call as well. What does AI mean for creatives and how they can optimize what they do as part of the advertising equation?
You know, I think that's an excellent question and something I learn every day, right? I learned something new last week. So we were at the IAB ALM and giving a talk on bias in AI. All right. Notice there's a bookcase behind me. That's not really my room. But did you know that if an AI detects a bookcase behind you, that you're more likely to get hired if you're in an interview? If a human being detects you with a bookcase behind you as well, just FYI. So that makes me think that there's creatives that are more likely, if you do testing on creatives, right? A/B testing, you're more likely, an AI can detect, again, you know, what were the things that people clicked on or reacted to? Let's not say clicks, let's say reacted to, right? Or acted upon. So that creative is also part of the variables that go in there, past behavior for a future prediction. So in the case of the bookcase, maybe this is a future prediction that you all think I'm very smart because I have a bookcase behind me. Maybe, or maybe you think, you know, well, she likes to read, right? So those are the things in the creatives that, again, this is not my real background. You know, that is the thing in the creative that I think is going to be an exciting part too. But that creative and what worked and what didn't work goes back into the model, right? And gets tested again. Don't use that same creative. It doesn't work. You know, if Burger King had only done the right creatives, you know, epic fail, but you know, they didn't even test, right? So there's human test, there's machine test. And if you can register that and see that in the data, yeah, you're going to get better at creative. What works, what doesn't work.
I just wanted to point out
I think it's an exciting area. I think you have a lovely background, by the way.
This is a real bookshelf, but there are no books. There are no books. I don't know what that tells a marketer.
No. I mean, this is what's so funny. I just heard this last week. So now I'm telling my college kids, put bookcases in your background when you're interviewing. Quick tip.
Well, following pro tips and tips for students, Tracy's asking, her company is active with the nonprofit Girls Who Code.
Oh, yeah.
And with mentoring middle and high school girls. Are you aware of AI for marketing learning tracks for these girls?
Well, first of all, so I'm familiar with Girls Who Code and Black Girls Who Code. I've sponsored those organizations at my prior company when I was in AI machine learning solely. Now I'm at, at Quantcast, very different, but this is something we want to do as well. So I'm a big believer in STEM because that's my background, but STEAM as well, which is with art in it. But I want more young people, boys and girls, to get into STEM. And so I would say that there are, I think AI for All is another organization, and it's women-led, and it has scholarship programs, and they do summer camps, and they look to Black Girls at Code and Girls at Code to feed into that organization. But AI for All is another nonprofit that does teaching of the younger kids, right? Young girls. And they'll do trainings around the country. Like they'll go, before COVID, they went on campus to Stanford and Harvard and brought girls in and taught them AI. And a bunch of universities, those are the ones that I remembered, but they'll just bring them in. So look into that, but also just AI for everyone. I mean, I had my 18-year-old take the AI for Everyone course, and she was like, and she just got a job at NVIDIA, which is an AI company. She just graduated college. So because she took that AI for Everyone course, they signaled her out and said, you're interested in AI, and she got the job. So just so you know, I'm recommending this even for younger, even a 16-year-old can take AI for Everyone. But look on Coursera, there's a lot of courses there. And maybe there's even more courses for younger kids right now. And Khan Academy, big plug for Khan Academy, do that too.
We have another question from Kate. She's asking, what are some of the things that we as advertisers should take into account around all of the concerns on data privacy regulations that seem to be coming on the horizon? What adjustments do you think we will need to be making to these machine learning algorithms based on the potential reduction of data that might be fed in the upcoming years?
Yeah, so we're at Quantcast, we're all about data privacy. We have one of the leading consent management platforms out there right now. And we're in Europe, where they were pioneering GDPR, data privacy regulation. It's in California now, coming, I think, in Virginia. I don't know where it is in Texas, but state by state, you're going to see more and more data privacy regulations emerge. So it's really important to have consumer consent feed into the data, and to make sure that you're able to, you had those preferences, you know what the people want, they've given you permission. Like I would give Patagonia permission to market to me. Hello, Patagonia. They never get a hold of me. But that's what consumers want. They understand that a free and open internet is funded by advertising. I believe they do. If they don't, we need to educate them all together. Right? So data privacy regulations are here to stay. There will be more of them, not less. We're seeing this flowing around the world, and our, real-time data, our real-time data streams and set is fed by consent-based data, and we need to do more, right? Do we need to do more? It's not going to be less data. It's just going to be actually more precise data, because, having data that's not great and doesn't have kind of some signals already built into it makes it even harder to find out exactly who your audience is. But that's why you need to work with a platform like the Quantcast platform that's consent-based, privacy in its foundation, to be able to give you that insights as well.
We have another question from Rick. He's asking if there's any information available on the number of users that are using limit ad tracking features to opt out of data sharing.
Is there any information about opting out and tracking? We would have to get back to you on that. I don't have any of that in the top of my head right now. We have actually with Quantcast Choice, which is part of our our consent management platform as part of the Quantcast platform. I believe it's greater than 90% opt-in, right, Amanda? It's over 90%. Yeah. So the opt-outs aren't that high. People want to opt in, but I think they like being asked, right? They want to be asked. And then what we're also looking at is technologies like preferences technologies that sit on top of the consent management platform, that I can say, I like the outdoors, I like sports, I'm athletic, I like, I have a family. Wouldn't we all want that? That's where we all need to help solve that together, I think, as an industry.
We have a couple more. We have one question. Let me find it again. Okay, what do you see the biggest challenges tackling the elimination of cookies? What do you see as the biggest challenges with the new elimination of cookies in 2022?
Well, we've known for a few years now that cookies are going to be eliminated. The cookie is crumbling, it is going away, and there's new identity solutions that are being proposed. We're innovating in that area. So at Quantcast, we're innovating in looking at alternatives to identity, different types of identity solutions. So we're innovating within our platform. We'll have something later summer, in the fall of this year, to show people. But basically, there's also industry standards, right? The W3C and the IAB through Project ReArc are working on identity solutions, and we're all part of that, right? Everybody's part of that. And then there's emerging technologies as well. Emerging technology, I'm not sure I would call them a standard yet, but emerging technologies like UID2 that we're also going to be working with. So there's a number of things. We're in a middle of a crossroads of proposed standards, emerging standards, we've known cookies are going away. We're all working towards solving that problem. It's not a problem. It's more like we're prepared for that future, and we'll be well prepared before 2022 hits. We do realize that Google put out there, I think last week or the week before, that they're not going to support anybody else's identity and they're going to do their own thing. And they're going to do it based on, the data they have. Well, they have the most data in the world. So they don't need to work with anybody else. And so we really need to be mindful of who's saying what. And it's an emerging conversation that's ongoing. Even this morning, I see things coming out of France about data privacy and Apple. It's all in flux right now, but Quantcast has innovation underway to address it. We're going to interop with emerging technologies out there like UID2, and we're also in part of the solution around industry standards with the W3C and the IAB.
We have one more question from Alvin. He's asking, at what educational level should we start introducing future marketers and advertisers to AI? And what examples could we use to spark their interest?
Give them a replay of this webinar. No, I don't think, I think the sooner every marketer understands, the better. I don't think they do, right? So I know even teams that I've led, in the last 5 years, I would say 5 years, there's AI being baked into many different solutions right now. Okay. But it doesn't mean it's all, a lot of people talk about it. They're not a lot of people are doing it. So you really need to be mindful of what is that machine learning underneath the hood of that software, in your MarTech or ad tech stack. It's got to be real. You've got to ask the right questions there as well. But I would say every marketer has to have a fundamental understanding of what it can and cannot do, right? I talked about patterns, preferences, and predictions. That's what I see. That's how it's going to help you as a marketer. Don't you want to know who your audience is? Don't you want to know how you can reach your customer more precisely with precision, intelligence, instead of guessing and wasting money and time? I mean, that's where I am. We don't have unlimited funds. We don't have unlimited people. None of us do. I don't care how big of a corporation you are. So every company needs to be mindful that they need to be doing, educating their workforce on, giving them access to Coursera. It's easy. It's like, take that class. You don't have to be a data scientist. You don't have to be a mathematician, because we're doing, the technologists are doing the work for you, but you must understand this space in order to be successful in the future. That's my take.
Smart. Very smart.
We have two last questions. One is talking about predictions. Are there any predictions of what may be coming down on privacy guidelines for AI?
In the what? Excuse me?
Privacy guidelines that might be coming down for AI that you can see through your work.
Oh, this is a big area. Big research area, a big area of interest for myself personally, which is something called explainable AI, right? So not only data privacy, but how do you trust the AI, right? So there's a big discussion in the industry right now around trust. You'll hear the term black box. We don't know what the results are. We don't know how to understand those results. And that all feeds into data privacy and regulation and all of that. So explainable AI was a few years ago the main topic. Now it's pivoting into responsible AI. What are the people, processes, and technologies? Because it starts with people, trust and bias and everything around data privacy and all of that. What is happening is with people. People inject bias. People inject things into systems. So then there's, and so the people, you have to change your company's processes, and you have to be aware of the technologies. It's all coming. And whether it's data privacy or, how do we trust this AI? That is all part of the equation and what people are talking about in terms of responsible AI. And there's a number of companies and nonprofits and organizations that are spearheading work here. and law firms as an example, because it's all going to be regulated. Data privacy is just part of it. All AIs are going to go through something. You can see it, and one way to look at this is if you're in financial services, if you're in banking, there's the Fair Lending Act, right? You have to be able to justify why you gave somebody a loan or why you denied them a loan, like a mortgage, right? That's the Fair Lending Act. So that right now, a lot of the scores that are coming out are AI driven, right? Somebody created a model and said, you're going to get a credit score, you're going to get a mortgage score that says you're a good credit risk, or you're somebody that we should give this mortgage to, as an example. So financial services has been going through this for a number of years. They've got to document everything they're doing around machine learning in order to to transparently show regulators that they're in compliance with regulation, with the law. So that's going to happen probably to our industry as well. Over time, we have to show compliance, but the legality hasn't all happened yet.
We have one last question for you, and it ties into what we'll be talking about on our webinar next month. Which name do you think in the future will move forward? Artificial intelligence or machine learning?
This is so AI is, again, that broad. If I were building an umbrella or a tent, right? AI is the big category. Then you've got self-driving cars, that's an AI. Voice recognition systems, that's an AI. Machine learning is a set of techniques. You'll hear things like neural networks and all of that. Those are all part of underneath the big tent, the big umbrella. So, I think I was trying to be more precise. We use machine learning at Quantcast. AI, everyone should know that AI is that broad category. Image recognition software, which is another, regulated, like, should we be able to recognize you as you're walking through an airport? And, there's all sorts of, legality there, issues there around, they're recognizing people incorrectly, mostly women and mostly women of color. They're recognizing them incorrectly. The facial recognition software isn't that great, but that's an AI. Mm-hmm. So, AI is the broader category. It's broader category. It's not going away. Machine learning, I think, is getting a lot of emphasis in the market today because it is one of the major techniques and one of the major fields of AI right now, just like self-driving cars or image recognition and so forth, that is happening. So they're going to be together, and I kind of lump them together, AI and machine learning and data, right? You heard me say that probably 50 times.
Well, thank you so much to everyone who sent their questions in. My brain just got a massager with all this information. So thank you so much, Ingrid. I am going to pass it over to Ray to close it up, but thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Quantcast and for everybody that participated. Ray, take it away.
Ingrid, very interesting. We are so light years beyond focus groups. Thank God. AI. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And as it relates to you, Brian, having a broadcast background, we have the Arbitrons out. Now we've got the Nielsen's. I can see someday when possibly the broadcast industry can really take advantage with very much specificity with AI to really drill down on who's listening, when, how long, and such. And it's a grand idea. And look at the black box from Tiger Woods's Genesis. They're going to the black box to find out exactly what that car did. It's really huge, and it's certainly someplace that we're not going. We're all going there, and as marketers and advertisers, we can be a lot smarter in what we do. So today's information was really great and well presented, Ingrid. Thanks to your team as well, to Amanda and to Brian. Thanks to the team who put this webinar together. We do these a lot, and we are really getting good at this stuff. I mean, we started out good, but we're getting better, okay? Once again, if you want to become a member of the American Advertising Federation Houston, you can do that at any time, thanks to our good friend, Dwight Douthit. He put this thing together so you can join anytime you want. It is not expensive. It is a great group of people. And one day, someday soon, we'll actually be back together. But this is not a bad transitional time for us all. Remember the podcast. It's called Ad Speaks Houston. It's on iHeartMedia, thanks to our good friends at iHeart here in Houston, Joe Cesarato and Eddie Martini. And you'll hear that Sundays 10 to 11 on KPRC 950. Or you go to your favorite podcast platform and you'll find Ad Speaks Houston there as well. I hope everybody had a great time today. Thank you to Ingrid. Thank you to Quantcast for making today possible as well. So with that said, I think we did it again, folks. And thanks to each and every one of you, the team that put this together, the folks at American Advertising Federation, Houston, and of course to our good friends, our new friends at Quantcast. Go find out more about them as well. Have a great rest of the week. Stay safe, stay positive, stay hopeful, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.